Hey guys, this is Justin. Welcome to the first installment of my 5-minute guides, where I try to explain some tips and tricks for ovals to help you guys get faster in as short a time as possible. Feel free to suggest some other topics that you want to see me cover below, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to help me out. The first topic we're going to be covering is brake bias, and this is the only adjustment that you can make in fixed series that has an objective, correct answer. You can say that steering ratio, it's sometimes better to go one way or another, but at the end of the day, both steering offset and steering ratio are down to feel and comfortability, whereas brake bias, you're actually affecting the handling of your car because of the changes that you're making. So the first question we have to ask ourselves seems really stupid at first. What are the brakes for? It turns out there are two main things that brakes are good for in oval cars. Number one, obviously, is to slow down. But number two, and sometimes the more important one, is to help turn the car. This is achieved by adding rear brake to the car, or in other words, lowering the brake bias percentage. So that's great. We just put the lowest amount of brake bias possible into the car, and we're good to go, right? Well, it's not always that simple. Take a look at this poorly photoshopped infographic that I whipped up for this. If you look on the far right, you can see that if you have too high of a brake bias, your car will not get any help turning going into the corner. This means that turn that you could get with your brake, you're instead getting with your wheel, and that actually puts extra wear on your right front, along with most likely just being slower. Take a look at the far left. What's going on here? The car seems to be rotating, but all the tires are lit up and the car's still moving straight ahead. Well, this is a bit of an exaggeration for the infographic, but what's going on here pretty much is if you step over a line, you'll get rotation to the point where you start four-wheel sliding, and if you do that, not only will you get a lot of wear on your tires, but you're actually not turning anymore because your momentum is still driving you straight. You want to practice until you find that Goldilocks zone in the middle, where you're able to get rotation from your braking, but you're never entering that four-wheel slide. Let's take a look at some examples. This is my normal line for turns 1 and 2 for ARCA and Milwaukee. Let's try to replicate this line with a higher and lower brake bias, starting here at 62, then going up to 70 and down to 57. Here's the 70% brake bias turn. Notice how I'm never really able to get that same rotation even while dragging my brakes all around the corner. Now here's with 57% brake bias. Listen to this. Did you hear that? Not only did it ruin my speed, but the 4-tire slide probably ruined my tires as well. Let's hear it again. So try messing around with your brake bias during practice. If you want more turn on corner entry, try gradually lowering it. But if you start sliding, raise it back up to where the condition goes away. This is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to your line though. Stuff like how much brake you use, what your braking point is, and also the overall shape of your line are all directly affected by your brake bias. So don't get stuck just practicing the same thing over and over again if you're far off. You can also change your brake bias during the race using the in-car brake bias adjuster, which goes plus and minus 3% from a central point. This means that you can start the race either 6% higher or lower than you end the race on depending on how you want to do it. Try to use the same criteria that I mentioned before, but apply it in real time. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is a starting point for the different types of tracks you'll run into. From my experience, these are good estimates, plus or minus a couple percent. But sometimes you'll run into something that's very weird, and that's when you really need to start doing some trial and error. So thanks for watching. These videos are mostly aimed towards beginners, but I hope that everybody can find at least one thing that's a little bit helpful for them. Feel free to leave a question below, and I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. If you're new around here, I post ARCA qualifying guides every Monday, and I'll try to post these types of videos every few weeks or so. These are a little harder to make, I'm not much of an editor. Thanks for watching. I'll leave you with a certified ARCA brown pants moment.